There has been more than one family there.
Oh, okay. And then they sold it to you?
They're deceased.
Okay.
The estate,
Okay, and when did you buy it?
2 months ago.
Okay. This is in Linecoff. What does the have they done a survey? You know, I'm sure the property's been surveyed at some point, not surveyed, but surveyed by the historical commission. And it gives kind of a narrative about how it's been used and such as that.
Well, that wasn't researched, but the structure does show up in the 1938 aerial photographs that we have. And of course, it also shows up in the Sanborn fire insurance maps that we have as recent as 1954 and does show it as a duplex.
And you said that it showed up in 38?
Yeah, on the aerial, yes.
Okay, when do we think it was built?
He said 1934, I believe.
35.
35.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Okay, any further questions?
Yes, Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Burrows?
So, my question to you is, when you purchased the property 2 months ago, were you aware of the zoning for that particular?
I was made aware of the zoning before we closed, not during the initial walkthrough. It was actually during the final walkthrough that my real estate agent told me. She says, this thing's listed as a duplex, but it's got an R1 rating on it. And when I found out that R1 was single-family residential, I said, well, I'll have to get it taken care of. And when I talked with Mr. Anderson originally, he told me it won't be rezoned, but you can ask for a use variance. And that's what I'm appealing for today.
Okay, thank you.
When you first looked at the property, did it have a single drive, or did it appear at any time to have two
There's
areas
actually
for parking?
there's actually two drives there right now, side by side. There used to be a garage, and the garage has since been tore down, so there's just a slab there now. And I've been informed that it's also encroached on an alleyway, but we had no intentions of restoring the garage.
And the driveway, if I may add, it's two ribbon driveways that both of them are located on this area, and they did feed to the old garage.
But there is two.
Right, but they're individual ribbons for each wheel of the car. So they come from one curb cut and then diverge to create essentially a two-car wide area back here.
Okay. Any questions, once again, for the board? All right, if you'll give us a second. Is there anyone in the audience in favor or opposition today? So it would appear that it might have lost non-conforming, what, 2001 maybe? About 15 years ago, 17, 16?
And especially since the people who purchased it removed the dual meter, then it would appear that the intent to continue the duplex use was abandoned at that time.
Okay. Well, it's usually the other way around with our request, that somebody's got one that's designed for single family and they're trying to make two out of it versus the other way around. I don't remember ever having one like this on my time on the board. All right, discussion of the board.
Mr. Chairman, I move for approval.
Okay, any conditions?
Nope.
Second. I have a motion to approve, second. Any further discussion? Before we make, let's see.
Mr. Chairman.
Before we call for a final vote, I'm just reviewing the notes of the staff. So it fits in with the historic overlay and
Well, it is eligible for historic overlay compliance, but there may not be other structures within the requisite 150 feet that would provide it with any benefit, but it has been there since 1935, so it is existing non-conforming.
Okay. All right, Mr. Burrows, you had a question before we move for a final?
My question is to Bert, if he can answer this for me. As I often read the staff's recommendations pretty thoroughly, and in one of your recommendations, you said special conditions exist, granting a hardship you appear to be doing here. And my question is this a site that's basically, can't be used for anything else other than what we presently using it for, like a multi-family place? Can you expound on that a little bit?
Well, when the property was purchased by the previous owner in 2002, they took steps, it would appear, to make it a single-family dwelling, although they did leave 2 kitchens in the structure based on the applicant. They did change the water service and the power service to apparently be a single feed rather than a dual feed. Right, and as Mr. Olson pointed out, in the drawing that was submitted, which is up on the screen behind you, it would appear that a portion of a wall was removed to allow free access between what had been the 2 separate units. But I believe the applicant now proposes to restore the wall to create the 2 units whole again.
Okay. Okay, Mr. Chairman, thank you.
Is there any other requirements usually in this district from a historical standpoint?
Well, if he were doing anything exterior, then he would have to go through the Architectural Review Board, or at least go through the Historic Review Department to at least get certificates of appropriateness if he wanted to put up fencing or paint colors and things like that.
Okay. All right, any other questions? Okay, once again, we had a motion with a second to approve the variance request. All those in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Okay, motion carries. Thank you. All right, application 6132, 5827. This is Mr. Reed. Yes, sir. Is your mic on? Just tap it, you'll know real quick. There you go.
Test. Good afternoon. My name is Carney Reed, Jr. I'm here for 5706 Highway 90 West. I have a car lot there, and I'm trying to get a variance to get a license. And I obtained a survey from Bird Surveying, I believe it's 2 years ago, and they never completed it, and I have completed it, and I've done everything needed, and I'm here too.
Okay, well, before we proceed, your address as well?
5706 Highway 90 West.
Oh, okay, so that is your address, okay.
No, that's not my personal address, no. My home address is 205 North Crystal Springs Road in 8 Mile, Alabama.
Okay, thank you. And have you seen staff's recommendation for approval?
No, sir.
All
I
right.
was told that it is recommended for approval.
Well, there's conditions, and therefore I'd like for you to have the opportunity to see those.
Mr. Reed, did you pick up a copy of the agenda out front?
No, I did not.
Okay.
We're going to give you a second to look over the staff recommendations.
I apologize, I'm not familiar with them.
Okay. It's on page 305.
Yes, sir. I don't exactly understand what I'm reading here. I mean, what is it? I needed stops for the cars. They were installed. Everything is done that was told to me to do by Mr. Logan.
Yeah, I've seen in the pictures where the stops have been put in.
Yes, sir.
Bert, is there anything else other than right-of-way permit, if that's part of the?
That would be the main issue, is if any additional work is going to be done in the right-of-way, is to get the appropriate permits, and that would have to be through City of Mobile and through the Alabama Department of Transportation, since Highway 90 is a U.S. highway.
Right.
And then, of course, if he wants to have a sign on the property, he would just need to get the appropriate sign permits.
Okay, do you understand, sir?
Yes, sir.
Okay, are you in agreement with the conditions of the staff?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Any questions of the board for the applicant?
Mr. Chairman, I have a question for Bert.
Mr. Golden?
Is there any mention of aprons?
There's no mention in the engineering comments as it relates to the provision of a concrete apron. And I don't know, Mr. Davis, if you think that he should be retroactively required to provide a concrete apron.
That's outdot, isn't it?
So, well, be required to put in a concrete apron now for the proposed use.
It's probably something that has come up on another plan.
And I just, better he knows it now than later. But, so that would be included when they review the land disturbance?
Well, since their main issue is putting aggregate on the site, it may be a determination down the road that they would not have to, so we'll just have to see
Okay.
what happens.
All right, thanks.
Okay. Any further questions? Just give me a second, please.
Bert, I do see where it says here aggregate surfacing is not to be allowed within the public right-of-way, so maybe it's included in that,
Well,
or not?
the Board of Adjustment has no authority over the public
Right.
right-of-way, so it'll be a determination really between ALDOT and the City of Mobile right-of-way division to determine if the aggregate can remain in the right-of-way for any of the existing driveways.
Okay, and I guess to the applicant, I think it's just helpful to know that may be a possibility, that they're going to have a concrete apron.
I think what we're trying to sort out is that you may be required, after this is looked at from the ALDOT and from the traffic, that where your driveway comes to Highway 90, you may have to have a little bit of a concrete apron poured there so your gravel doesn't, or your aggregate doesn't travel onto the main highway. That's not something we have any purview over. Just want to make sure you're aware of that.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Any further questions of the board? Okay, is anyone in the audience in favor or opposition today? All right, Chair, entertain a motion.
So move, Mr. Chair.
Subject to staff's.
Subject to the
Second?
staff's
I have a
recommendation.
motion with a second, subject to staff recommendations. Any further discussion? All those in favor of the motion say aye. Aye. Anyone opposed? Okay, motion carries. Good luck
Thank
to
you.
All right, just so you'll know, you have to wait for 15 days before you can proceed with any of your activity.
Yes, sir.
Okay. All right, we're on 6133. This is 161 Dunn Avenue. Your name and address,
Name is
please.
Sean Thomas, 161 Dunn Avenue.
Okay, now yours is recommended for denial. You want to tell us why we think otherwise?
Well, I guess pretty much, I hired a contractor to build a one-car garage and left it up to him to take care of it and get whatever permits required. It was pretty much completed, and I had an instance with my neighbor, next door neighbor, about a dog that they were keeping for a family member. And I guess within 2 weeks of this, the city came out and I was notified that about the setback rules, and there wasn't a building permit obtained for this structure. I wasn't aware of any setback rulings because of other garages built in this particular neighborhood, and the setback, you know,
How long has the garage been there?
I want to say about 2 months, 3 months, yes, sir.
Before the complaint about the dog and then the complaint
Yes.
about you? Yeah.
And the neighbor complained, I guess called about the garage or something.
Okay, any questions of the board for the applicant?
I have a question.
Mr. Golden?
Is the garage completed?
Pretty much, yes, sir.
Okay. And I guess I'm reading here where there's others in the neighborhood
Yes,
that are not necessarily in compliance?
in compliant. I mean, they have a little bit more leeway on the setback rules, but there's one that has 2 of the open car metal garages side by side. There's another one on Ralston, which is a garage that I think is 20 feet from the setback. There's also a house, I think I have my surveyor supplied a picture that's actually 13 feet from the setback, a whole house that was built, I guess, maybe 3 years ago.
Okay.
My intentions were not to violate any setback rules or anything like that. I was just trying to have a 1-car garage structure with some space for storage, being since my daughters graduated from college and moved back home, to cut back on me having to store some stuff and pay for a storage unit
Thank
out
you.
of pocket myself until she moves wherever she's going to reside once she finds a job in her field. Right now, she's here working in Mobile and living with me.
Okay, so it's not quite 8 feet from the front setback
Yes, sir.
and 2.1 feet from the side property line.
Yes, sir. And, you know, my thoughts were I probably would have tried to do this in the back, but as narrow as the walkway is to the side, it'd be difficult for me to get something to the back if I wanted to put a, say, garage. I couldn't pull a car to the side. The driveway was already there.
Mr. Chairman, would it be possible if the applicant would let us know the contractor who built the garage?
Yeah, have you disclosed who the contractor is?
I've talked to him about it, yes.
Who's the contractor?
Arturo Lamar.
You want to come explain how it was built without a permit and within setback? We'll need your name and address, sir.
Okay, my name is Arturo Lamar, and I'm at 1620 Carlisle Court, Mobile, Alabama. Okay, when we did this project, we decided, well, he had need a storage bay. Basically, this is a detached metal building. It's movable. It's made to move, so it's not down in it. It's just sitting on top of the driveway, sitting on top of the driveway. And I did several of them before people. Now I'm retired. Now I used to be a contractor, but I'm retired now. 3 years retired, but did several of them with no problem. And we decided, you know, a good friend of mine, we just got together and said, let's put something up, you know, try to store stuff in and put the car in. And that's how this came by. Then that's when we found out, but we needed a pit permit and then getting the variance on the lot, you know, the lot line. But like I say, he didn't have any room. He had any room on either side of the house to get to the back of the house. He got 2 feet on one side and then he got 5 on the other side.
So from your property line on the south side is 5 feet?
Yeah, 5 feet.
Do you have any kind of plans that show the measurements, the
Yeah,
detail?
please.
And
Is
also.
that in our packet already?
Whatever we received would be in the folder,
Yeah, the
so.
folder's down there, I'm not sure.
Did they send that out?
Let me check and see if we have it in here. It looks like we do.
Mr. Chairman, could we, Mr. Carlisle, excuse me, Mr. Lamar, do you have a business license?
Yeah, used to, I'm retired. Yeah, used to be with the City of Mobile and, over Baldwin County.
But you do have a business license.
I had business there.
What's the name of the company?
Turo Lamar, A.L. Lamar Building.
Okay.
Okay, you have 6 feet, 5.9 feet from your property line. You've got covered storage in the back. You've got a couple of those. What do you keep in those normally?
One is just a patio,
Okay.
Open.
yes,
Yeah, I think I've seen that in the pictures.
yeah.
So how do you get to the backyard?
There's a gate on the side,
To
which
the-
is maybe
on the
right
5-foot
to the
side?
right side, right. And actually, the findings from the surveyor on the, to the left side, in doing the survey, my neighbor's driveway is actually maybe 2 feet onto my property and their garage, which is in the back.
Okay, and you get a crushed rock drive on the other side. Did you pour the concrete pad before you put the building?
No,
Or was it
it's
already
already-
existing?
This,
That's been there since, when I bought the house originally in 1994.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman?
Yeah, Mr. Metcalf?
Mr. Lamar, you said you had a business license, but do you have a contractor's license?
yeah.
Currently?
Yeah, I used to have all of them.
No, do you currently?
No, I'm retired. Yeah.
Okay, and the business license is not current either, it's used to be?
No, yeah, 2 years, I stopped 2 years ago.
Okay, so you don't. But if you were, which you say you were, don't you realize that in order to build something in the city of Mobile, that you have to have a permit?
Well, I hadn't did much in the city of Mobile. I've been doing mostly county, in the county. That's where most of our work was. We did a lot of the houses out there in Remington. And, like I say, I'm a framer, did most of the frame work. That's what I do, frame and building, framework.
Well, was it built on site or was it delivered to the site?
Built on site, just sturdy mill.
How did you attach it to the driveway?
It's not just sitting down on.
Okay. Mr. Lamar, it looks to me like you've done this gentleman a real disservice and put him in a real bind. That's just my point.
Okay, any other questions of the board for the applicant or his builder? So currently, it's not attached, right?
Yeah, it's not there.
So it's just sitting there?
So, Mr. Chairman?
Yes.
Along those lines, if it were the pleasure of the board to grant a variance for it, then he would have to get an after-the-fact permit for the structure, and then he would have to prove how, if it was built to code or not, which is construction and attachment to the driveway. Is that correct, staff?
That is correct. He would have to get a permit, and I believe the building code requires a permit for any structure more than 200 square feet.
It may not be 200.
Yeah.
What is the size of the structure?
18 by 16.
So that is greater than 200 square feet.
So would you have to have any engineering or just a,
I believe it would have to meet the wind load requirement,
and
which,
how would they determine that if it wasn't pre-manufactured?
well, they would have to get someone to provide a notarized letter of the connection to the ground and that the structure met the wind load requirement.
Okay.
Okay. Mr. Burrows, you had a question?
Bert, why is it not a temporary structure if it's not attached, somehow affixed to the ground? You know what I'm saying when I say a temporary,
Portable structure.
portable structure, that's the word.
Well, it is not perhaps as portable as, we would normally see. It doesn't have a chassis, it's not designed to be towed with a trailer. So it really should be considered a structure, and it would be regulated by the building code rather than a portable structure, which is not necessarily subject to building code, depending on what its intent or use is for. Yeah.
Mr. Chairman, could I direct a question to you?
Please.
The question, is this a garage where you can drive a car in?
Yes.
Yeah, it's a garage storage house. Yeah, just a storage garage.
Yeah, that's what bothers me a little bit. I thought I heard a garage. Okay, thank you.
Okay, any further questions?
Mr. Chairman, can I make a statement?
Yes, please.
Mr. Thomas, just a suggestion. As the chairman said at the beginning of this meeting, we are 2 members short today. This may be one of those situations where you may want to ask for a holdover. That's just, thank you.
His point is that if any one of us votes no, then your request is denied. And you would have 2 more opportunities for a little bit more leeway if that were the case. And the fact that this was built without a permit, it's definitely within the setback, all those things are not in your favor, and the staff's recommending denial. So before I call for a motion, is that something you're interested in? It may not change anything. You'd just be waiting another month to hear the same results.
Yep. And Mr. Chairman, before he responds to your statement, just for the applicant's benefit, if the application is denied for whatever reason, the consequences of that are he has to remove the structure.
Well, he has 15 days.
Right.
And he can appeal the decision of the board to the court.
Which is filing a lawsuit.
Right.
My point is, I'm trying to tell you, sir, what the implications of this is.
And then, so after the 15-day period, we would then go out and visit the site and issue him a ticket to have the structure removed.
And then if you didn't do that, then they would issue another ticket, then it would go to court, and it could be a nasty thing for you. So you may want to give the chairman some consideration.
Well, hold on. Before any other comments, is there anyone in the audience either in favor or opposition? I think you're gentlemen here for another application. Are you here for another one? Okay. All right.
Well, and
Mr. Golden?
Mr. Chairman, I guess I'm sympathetic to the cause here, and I guess in the spirit of compromise, ask the applicant, is what's between this, where the garage sits now, and the house? What's between where the garage sits now? It looks like there's a gap that may be 8 or 10 feet. Is there, I mean, does the house have windows right there? Could you push, and what I'm thinking is, could you push the garage back, get a little farther off the street? And
I would have to probably remove some shrubbery and pour some more concrete
okay,
behind it.
and if the alternative was removing the garage altogether, that may be a compromise.
I don't think the gap's that big.
Okay, looking at the survey.
6 feet, I think.
Okay.
It's 5 to 6 feet.
And it may
max.
not be enough to sway any decisions, but just,
And it appears to be right on the property line, much more so than. Does it have gutters on it and downspouts?
Nope.
I can't tell from the drawing. It didn't appear to. Okay. All right. Before I call for a motion, what is the applicant's decision? Do you wish to have a holdover, or do you wish to call for a vote today?
I'll have to vote today.
You'd rather have the vote today, okay? All right, Chair, entertain a motion?
Mr. Chairman, I'll make a motion to approve with engineering documents, I guess, to show wind load and after-effect building permit.
Gutters and downspouts or any other provision?
Yeah, and I guess gutters and downspouts on the side where it borders the, to prevent runoff on the neighborhood.
And I got this truss, the truss that I got on it, they approve for wind load.
And you, sir, would be providing some sort of documentation, I assume?
Right.
So.
Okay, do I have a second? I have a motion with a second. Any further discussion? All those in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? I vote opposed. So your motion is denied. So you have 15 days to appeal to,
Other than that, how much time do I have to remove the structure?
Well, you have a 15-day waiting period before we will send anyone out to your property, so you have at least 15 days before you have to actually do anything.
okay, thank you.
Thank you.
All right, next application, 6134. McDavid, this is 20 Audubon Place.
Yes, sir. Good afternoon. My name is Stephen McDavid. I live at 20 Audubon Place, and I'm here to request a side yard variance. I lived at 20 Audubon Place for about 10 years now, and it is a 3-bedroom, 2-bath, and my intention or my hope is to add on to the back of the house an additional bedroom and bathroom. The existing site plan here shows that my home is within, or excuse me, is 6.3 feet off the property line. The zoning requirement is 8 feet. So my existing structure right now is within that, and my intention is to continue a new addition following that same datum line. I would also like to note that most of the houses in my neighborhood follow the same theme, whether they are 6 or within the 8 on the south side or the north side of the property line. Depends on the orientation of the property. But this site plan right here is the proposed that shows the new addition. The new addition is approximately 800 square feet, maybe a little bit more, maybe closer to 850. I don't have that number in front of me. So the reason I am requesting the side yard variance is, although it doesn't adequately show it on this proposed plan here, there is a 27-inch oak tree on the north side of the property line. I've received the preliminary report Thursday last week, and one of the things cited in this report is we requested to position it the way it is, not only for building orientation, but to preserve the root system of that oak. The recommendation was to provide information regarding that oak's potential impact to the proposed addition. I have that, I brought that with me. I took some pictures as well. I don't know if you gentlemen have it in front of you. But what I basically annotated on that was the measured drip line. I had myself and the architect come over to the house this weekend. We measured that out and provided that radius on that for the oak tree that is impacting my property. My request is that we try to not only hold the existing datum line out of convenience for the architectural and structural design, but to also preserve the root system of that oak tree. Because it is, I don't know if you gentlemen can tell from the pictures, it's a relatively large oak tree.
If you will, give us a second to
Yes,
look at
please.
all the pictures.
Mr. Chairman, while you're doing that, may I ask the staff a question?
Yes, please.
So the existing house is within the setback. It's too close.
Well, it's within the current side yard setbacks under our 1967 zoning ordinance. But when the house was built, which I believe was in the late 30s or early 40s, the zoning ordinance in effect at that time, adopted in 1934, only had a 5-foot side yard setback requirement.
So the change in the zoning created the issue.
Yes.
So it was built to code.
Yes.
When it was originally built, and they're asking to extend it along the same line.
That's correct.
Okay.
Yeah, if this were a historic district, they would be allowed to do it, but since it is not within a district, they have to come to you.
Gotcha. Thank you.
Any further questions of the board or additional? I'm trying to find on these pictures the tree that you're referencing.
Sure, I'd be happy to show you.
It looks like it's a tree in a...
So
Oh, wait a minute, I think I just found the picture that...
So one is taken from the street looking down my driveway, and that kind of portrays a general scale, if you will, of the oak tree. And some of the other pictures, I know that I have a lot of vegetation in my backyard, but it shows that that limb kind of reaches towards where the deck is. The deck is part of the demolition effort would be where the new addition would go.
How much of a protective area around the tree are you trying to maintain?
The existing drip line, I believe, is set somewhere around 26 or 27 feet, and that basically kind of hits to right where the existing deck is. Basically, when we came out and surveyed the site and looked at the site, we set the new addition so that I would at least be outside of that drip line. And I believe that's the critical drip zone, or excuse me, the critical root zone. I realize that roots extend much further than that, but I'm trying to mitigate that as much as possible, sir.
Yeah, because it looks like you're trying to square off with, I guess, another feature of your existing house.
Yes, sir. I'm trying to keep the same theme, if you will, as you add on to this house. Uh-oh.
Any questions of the board?
Mr. Chairman,
Mr. Mayor?
is it going to be the same type of construction as far as aesthetic, such as that?
Oh, absolutely, yes, sir.
Okay. Is it a brick house?
It is a brick house.
Okay. And not that it's relevant, but what's going to be in the addition? Is it going to be a master suite?
Well, specifically, it's a master bedroom, a bathroom, and then a closet. That's all.
Good. Thank you.
Okay. Any further questions? I'm just trying to get this file back
Yep,
together
please.
here, so we don't lose anything. Whoops, I think I missed something here. So the house is 5 foot, but as it goes back, it becomes farther from the property line? Is that the way I read it?
I'm sorry.
No, it's 6 foot, that's correct. So the hardship is the tree and then,
Yes, sir.
and
The
keeping it
hardship-
in line with the
Yes,
existing
sir. I'm
structure.
trying to keep that tree. You know, I know I wouldn't want to kill that tree. I know that we're talking about 1.5 feet here, but I think I can stay outside of that drip zone, which is, by the way, this is my architect. Our intent was to stay away as far as we could from that tree, but to still get the addition that I wanted in the design.
All right, staff recommended originally a holdover so we could get revisions, but is that what we,
Well, right, when I received this
Have
report
now?
on Thursday, I went ahead and preemptively got the information that I believe you would want to see.
is there anything significantly different in this?
I haven't seen those, but that would be the type of information that we were looking for.
Okay, before I call for a motion, do you want to look at it and see if there's anything we're,
We don't have any conditions prepared, but this addresses our concern as to whether or not the addition could be moved to a compliant setback and still not impact the tree, but I think he shows his case.
And if I may add, I mean, due to the drawings that we have developed, I mean, I fully intend to gutter it, channel the water away from any property lines, impactions, things of that nature.
okay? All right, once again, any questions of the board? Just for as a matter of formality, anyone in the audience either in favor or opposition? Okay. Further discussion of the board? Chair, entertain a motion.
Move for approval, Mr. Chairman. I'm assuming that your architect is in favor of it.
Second, Mr. Chair.
Okay, any conditions like gutters and downspouts?
Gutters
and
downspouts.
Yes, sir.
I'll
absolutely.
amend my motion to add gutters and downspouts.
Okay, and I feel the applicant's shown a sufficient hardship with the preservation of the tree to support that. All right, call for vote. All those in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Okay, motion carries.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for your time, gentlemen.
All right, and we don't have a sufficient quorum to call for a vote for president and vice president at this time, or chair and vice chair this time.
Well, I reread the operating procedures, and the
you,
election
sir.
of officers is to occur on a calendar year basis. So the election would actually need to be in January.
Good, I can talk somebody else into this.
So yes, you do have time to lobby your case,
Yeah, I
sir.
have. No, we're not calling for a vote yet. All
And-
right, maybe if we get more gas stations and things like that in here for modification, we'll,
All in favor,
all right, so any further business?
No, sir, not at this time.
All right, motion to adjourn. So moved. Yeah, ta-da. We make up for last month.
I will see you on the 12th, I guess. Oh, you're welcome. I didn't do anything. Just walk around and visit. That's what I do best. Really? I don't really have anything. I don't really have anything to do with that department, but. Was it for the ball game that was recently? Somebody came down and got permits that same day? Get the permits? They have come and gotten them for some people sometimes? And somebody came down the same day, and when I called, was that from the okay, because, you know, I find that sometimes it seems like it's just a matter of how much stuff quotes you. Like, they quote you to reach the tent install versus and I'm not saying from a tent standpoint, just what I see with sign permits, you know, if they quote you for you to get the permit and you to install it versus them just to paint it or make it or, and I don't know that that's the case here. Yes. Yeah. So why are they arguing with you? Yeah. Well, I'm glad they got done. Call me anytime.
Well, it's messy.